You swear to tell the truth, no truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay, you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. Officer, can you state your name and occupation for the record, please?
Michael Gordon, police officer, 4th Precinct, Detroit Police Department.
How long have you been with that agency?
Approximately 6 years.
And were you on duty on January 20th, 2023?
Yes, I was.
And were you in the area of Fort Omaha?
Yes, I was.
And is that in the city of Detroit and County Wayne?
Yes, it is.
Why were you there?
We were doing a ticket and tow detail in the south end of the 4th Precinct.
And in that area, what did you observe?
I observed a blue Ford Mustang that had pulled into the gas station at Fort Omaha. I don't recall the address right now. But upon running that vehicle, my partner ran the vehicle, came back with no insurance through lien. So we initiated a traffic stop.
And what happened at that?
I made contact with the driver who could not provide a valid license or insurance. So I asked him to step out of the
Is that gentleman here in court today?
Yes, he is.
And you went to his location and described the piece of clothing that he may be wearing?
Green jumpsuit, long blonde brown hair.
Let the record reflect that the officer has identified the defendant.
So reflected.
And you approached the driver and removed him from the vehicle, correct?
Yes, I did. I asked him to step out.
Okay, and what did you do next?
Placed him into double lock handcuffs for further investigation, walked him back to our scout car.
Okay, and what occurred after that?
My partner and I had already had the conversation because the vehicle showed no insurance. And the driver could not provide me with not only insurance or valid insurance, but a valid license as well. The car was going to be towed.
And what did you search the vehicle?
Yes, so for our department policy, we have to do an inventory search on the vehicle and document anything of value.
Can you describe that search for us?
So I went and made my way to the driver's side of the vehicle. I observed the plastic that's connected to the inside of the door to be extremely loose. So I pulled on it. I think some debris or something fell out of the bottom of the door.
What door was this?
The driver door.
Continue.
I applied slight pressure to the window regulator because from my experience, people tend to hide things in there. It popped up with relative ease and there was a pistol located under the window regulator.
What type of pistol?
I believe it was a Smith & Wesson SVD 9 slide, and the frame appeared to be 3D printed. Didn't have a serial number on it or anything.
And what exactly part of the weapon are you talking about? That's 3D?
The bottom where the slide sits on top, where the trigger actually is, the whole frame where your hand sits is the frame of the weapon.
Was there any ammunition?
Yes, it was loaded with a clear magazine that also appeared to be 3D printed. It did have a sticker on it of some 3D printing company. I can't remember what it was though.
By 3D printing, what exactly do you mean?
So it's printed through, you put almost like save a file and put it into a printer that you can get online, and it just sits there and prints it right out of plastic.
And did you see if the gentleman had a CPO?
No, I did not. I did not, I knew he could not have one because his birthday was January 18th of 2002, I believe. And the stop was February 20th of 2023, so he could not have gotten one in 2 days.
And you know this how?
Because you must be 21 to have a valid CPL in the state.
What did you do with the weapon?
Recovered it, made sure it was safe, and then took it to the 11th precinct for evidence.
You have nothing further, Your Honor.
Morning, officer.
Morning, sir.
Just a few questions here.
Yes, sir.
So you said you were on what was called a ticket and tow
Yes, sir.
this morning. What exactly is a ticket and tow?
So we make traffic stops, write tickets and tow vehicles. If they don't have any insurance, we tell them if the driver does not have a valid license, we tow vehicles and take the drivers as well.
So you were actively running plates for the
Yes, sir.
purpose of checking for insurance.
Yes, sir.
And during this detail that you came across the Mustang that my client was in, correct?
Yes, sir.
My client, was he inside or outside when you first saw him?
He was inside the vehicle.
Okay, and you came up to him at his window?
Yes, sir.
Okay, my client, did my client appear nervous when you spoke to him?
I don't really recall.
He answered all your questions, in fact, that day, correct?
Yes, sir.
He wasn't evasive about anything, correct?
No, sir.
You asked him if he had insurance, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you said per lien, he did not have insurance, correct? Do you know how often lien update with insurance information?
Every 15 days.
So it could be that between that time, this was stop on the 20th.
Yeah.
Lien would have updated on the 15th, he could have had insurance after that.
Yes, sir. That's why I asked him for the paperwork.
And he did tell you that you had insurance, didn't
Yes, sir.
he? Okay. And so you still pulled him out the car, correct?
Yes, sir.
And did you give him an opportunity to show you the insurance paperwork?
Yes, I did.
And did he show you the insurance paperwork?
No, he did not.
Okay.
Not that I recall.
Not that you recall, but you're not sure?
I'm not 100% sure, but I don't believe that he showed me any paperwork.
Okay. And you say that you pulled him out the car and he could not produce his driver's license.
Yes, he gave me an expired driver's license.
And at that point, it was your intention to tow the car, correct?
Yes, sir.
Right? And before you tow a car, you do what's called an inventory search,
Yes, sir.
correct? And you do the inventory search based off of Detroit Police Department policy, correct?
Yes, sir.
And Detroit Police Department policy gives you the ability to search any open container.
Yes, sir.
It also gives you the ability to search any compartment, right?
Yes, sir.
You do understand that a inventory search is not a free fall on the car, correct?
Yes,
And it does not give you the ability to search for runs contrary, correct?
yes.
You understand that, correct?
Yeah.
So you say that in your inventory search, you saw the door panel. First of all, let me back up. What condition was the car?
It was a 1998 Ford Mustang, so it had been used.
So it's old, correct?
Yes, sir.
And it was a little bit disheveled, correct?
Yes,
You said you saw a door panel, correct?
yes.
And you said you pulled on the door panel,
Yes.
correct? And you said you pulled on the regulator, correct?
Yes,
And your words, when you said you pulled on your regulator, was that you did that because in your experience, people have been known to hide, right?
yes, valuables.
And it was when you pulled this door apart that you found the gun, right?
Yes, the window regulator.
And you found it inside the door itself, correct?
Yes, under the window regulator inside, sitting on top of the plastic where the handle would be.
Nothing further.
Redirect.
Officer, when you saw the door panel, What exactly did, how exactly did it?
The whole bottom, so they have rivets that hold that plastic into the frame of the door. There were none. The whole bottom of the door was very loose.
Tell me further, Your Honor.
Again, you testified that this was a 1998 car, correct?
Yes, sir.
And the car was, that would make the car 25 years old?
Well,
And the car was, itself was already in disrepair, correct?
yes, from what I remember.
Tell me
What was
further,
the
Your Honor.
last thing you said?
What I remember.
From what I remember, okay. All right, thank you, you're upset. Any other witnesses?
No other witnesses, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay, everybody go.
Your Honor, okay, may I?
Yeah.
Okay. Your Honor, people requested the defendant be bound over on count one weapons, carrying concealed weapons, reserve army.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I agree, Judge, to bind over this case. The officer Gordon testified that he was on a ticket and tow routine, and it was during this ticket and tow routine that he spotted my client's car, ran the car from lean, and his car came back with no insurance. The officer admitted that lien only updates twice monthly. And it could have in fact had proper insurance on it. He does not recall whether or not my client had gave him insurance, but he had in his mind that he was going to tow the car. He was going, at that point, he did search on the car and he did search under the guise of doing an inventory search. Now, case law tells us that an inventory search is an administrative function. It is not a search function. The purpose of the inventory search is to ensure that the client's items are safeguarded, make sure that the police aren't accused of stealing of the person's items, to make sure that items are accounted for. It is not a rummaging of a vehicle. Your Honor, the officer testified that this is a 25-year-old car. This car was already in disrepair. So what he did went well beyond the scope of an inventory search. This officer looked at a door, looked at a door panel that was in disrepair, consistent with a 25-year-old car, and decided to pull open the door. Now, the DPE policy, as the officer testified, gives him the ability to search compartments and containers of the vehicle. I don't think, on any stretch of imagination, I would define a door panel that I have just pulled open as a compartment of the car. The officer further testified that his purpose of doing that is because he, under his experience, he knows people hide things. Now, looking for something that someone may hide sounds like a whole lot like a wholesale rummage of the vehicle. That is beyond the scope of an inventory search. And because of that, Your Honor, we object to the finding.
Yeah. First of all, regarding to the insurance situation, defendant did hand the officer an invalid driver's license. As far as the actual search goes, the officer testified that in his experience, people hide valuables in that space. He saw a loose panel. He knows that people hide items there, so he actually checked it. So it was well within the scope of an inventory search. If someone, defendant did have something valuable, or it be jewelry, money, whatever, and it later turned out missing, he would naturally come back against the officer. So the officer was within his rights to check a loose panel where he knows from experience that items are hidden, valuables are hidden. So we ask that the defendant be found over one of us carrying this. Thank you.
So I will not recite it back over. The question of fact would be about the inventory search, whether or not that was considered within confines of the Fourth Amendment. I think people have been for all of the elements. And that Mr. Atkins was not of age to be in possession, and that the stop based off no insurance. As the officer said, Wayne is of age for 15 minutes. And he also asked for insurance and was not provided proof of insurance. Also, the defendant's license was not valid, it expired.
Yeah, my apologies, I don't want to put, you said every 15 minutes.
I'm sorry, every 15 days. It used to be every 15 minutes. Thank you for that, Mr. Riggs. And that his license was also not valid, therefore, part of this ticket and tow operation, the officer was and did, well, I'm not sure if they actually towed the vehicle, but the intention was to tow. And during that search, the inventory search, the officer found under the window regulator a gun, 9mm, and there was no other person in the vehicle, and the defendant was driving. So that issue about the inventory search would be a question of fact. So, Mr. Atkins, I'm going to have you bound over to Third Circuit Court, Frank Murphy Hall of Justice, 1 week from today, since you're in custody. So your arraignment information will be May 9th at 9:05 a.m.
Can I have one moment, Your Honor?
Sure.
Yeah. In regards to bond, my client is currently on a personal bond on this matter.
Change it to, I think it's 2,000 cash.
On this case,
That's what I have here.
I think, look, we came back, and arraigned on the failure to appear, and I believe you reinstated the personal bond up to now.
Oh, okay.
But he had a personal bond. He also has a matter out of Wyandotte, as well as potentially a matter out of St. Clair Shores that I'm going to check on. Wyandotte matter has a $20,000 cash surety bond that I am not sure he's able to make. I have not been able to address that with Wyandotte yet. Sorry, it's 20,000 cash. I have not been able to address that. I don't know if he's been able to make, I don't think he's able to make that, and I don't know if they're going to drop that. In the interim, he is technically out on this case, and therefore he is not accruing any jail time. We ask that, Your Honor, you set this bond to a nominal bond so that you can at least get credit for the time that he's in jail in this case.
How about 2,000?
Thank you, Your Honor. That's right.
Anything else?
Nothing further.
All right, we're on the record as the people of the state of Michigan versus Jonathan Raphael Darius Evans. Case number 2355421. Mr. Evans is charged with one count of controlled substance delivery, manufacture cocaine, heroin, or another narcotic, 450 to 999 grams, with an habitual offender. Second offense notice set for exam today. Appearance.
Edwin Sawaki, P54828, appearing on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. Nancy Costa from Neighborhood Defender Service of Detroit, appearing on behalf of Mr. Jonathan Evans, P number 80549.
Mr. Evans, can you please report it for the record, please?
Jonathan Raphael Darius Evans.
Good morning. We have had trouble getting you here. 36 District Court, we finally have you here, and now there's an officer who was available the last time, but not. It's just been trouble getting here, transported. So I guess I'll let the people from the record to request.
Your Honor, we request that this matter be adjourned. We have a trooper, I believe in mandatory training this week, not make the hearing.
Okay.
Your Honor, I was advised of that. In addition, stating that this case has been up on the docket for the 5th time, scheduled for a preliminary examination. Normally, the procedure would be a dismissal in this case. However, the people did advise me that this case would be reissued should a dismissal be granted by this court. And I did have an opportunity to speak with Mr. Evans, and I believe since we know that the case will be reissued, if the court finds good cause, we'll leave it to the court's discretion.
I do find it, especially since I know of the people's intention to reissue. Mr. Evans, as I just stated, not your fault. I think the date is agreed to, that agreed to, pardon me, 5:25.
Yes,
What time? Do you have a specific time?
Your Honor, on that date, I'm available all day. Judge, maybe 10 o'clock.
That's what I have on. I'm sorry. 10 o'clock. I said, that's what I have on here. Okay, so May 25th at 10 a.m. Everyone should be present. Mr. Evans is going to go back to Oakland County, correct?
That's correct, Judge. That's my understanding. And the other thing is, Judge, there is a possibility of another attorney being retained on this case. And so I would advise the court, if the attorneys in fact retained, will be making their appearances on the 26th instead of myself. I'm sorry, the 25th of May.
Okay, and that it may be Attorney Colvin.
Correct.
All right, anything else?
Not for the people, Your Honor.
Hopefully on the 25th, we can do this case moving finally.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Attorney Colvin may be retained, maybe. We're on the record as the people of the state of Michigan versus Kumante Omari Alexander, 2260751. Mr. Alexander is charged with count 1, police officer assaulting, resisting, and obstructing. Count 2, which is a misdemeanor, operating while intoxicated. Count 3, also a misdemeanor, operating license suspended, revoked, and or denied. And count 4, also a misdemeanor, failure to stop at scene of property damage accident. With the eventual finish for the fifth notice is set for a preliminary examination today. Here.
Edwards Milwaukee, P54828, here on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Your Honor. Rebecca Tiaco, P62311, on behalf of Mr. Monte Alexander, who's also present.
Mr. Alexander, please state your full name for the record.
Monte Omari Alexander.
Thank you. Okay, are we ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor, we are.
Yes, ma'am. Any preliminary matters?
Now for the people. No, Your Honor.
Okay, if there's anyone watching on YouTube or on Zoom who may be a potential witness, now is your time to log off. And then you call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. People call Trooper John Jorasha.
Pronunciation, when he gets here.
This way, sir.
John. KJ. URAS.
You swear to tell the truth, nothing but the truth. Thank you, Lord, like, make sure you put the microphone. Are you ready, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Give me a second here.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
Trooper, could you state your name and occupation, for the record, please?
John Jurashai, Michigan State Trooper,
How long have you been in that agency?
over 8 years.
And have you, were you on duty on October 2022?
Yes,
And were you in the area of the Davidson Highway, I-75?
yes,
And that's in the city of Detroit, County Plain?
yes.
How were you dressed?
Full uniform,
And your vehicle?
fully marked.
Why were you in that area?
I was responding to backup troopers on a multi-vehicle injury blocking the freeway.
And when you arrived, what did you observe?
I observed a black male walking away from the crash scene.
And is that gentleman in the sport today?
Yes,
Could you point him out, his location, and his article of clothing that he may be wearing?
yes. Mr. Kumante Alexander is a black male. He has medium length dreadlocks. He's wearing a black sweatshirt that says RIVS.
The record should reflect that Trooper has identified the defendant.
So, like,
What happened after you observed the defendant?
When I observed the defendant, I got out my patrol car. Trooper Aliyah was flashing his light to point him out. I got out my patrol car and I gave him commands to stop walking away from the crash scene and to come back to our direction.
Were those commands obeyed?
No,
What happened next?
he looked back at me with his hands in his, he was wearing a coat, his hands in his pocket. He looked back at me, looked forward again and kept walking away.
What happened next?
We jogged towards, he was walking away, so we were going eastbound, he was walking westbound in the eastbound shoulder. At that point, we jogged towards him, continued giving commands, which he wasn't listening, and then Trooper Aliyah and Trooper El Kafaji also went that direction towards me, and I attempted to detain him where he began pulling away from me And then he lost his footing and tripped onto the not the embankment, but kind of like shoulder grassy area and fell on his bottom.
When you say pull away, what exactly do you mean?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, sir.
Excuse me. When you say pull away, what exactly do you mean by pull away?
I grabbed onto his arm to detain him and he shoulder shrugged and kind of nudged away from me.
On what arm did you?
I don't recall which arm I grabbed onto.
Once he fell to the ground, what happened?
He continued resisting. At this point, he was advised to stop resisting. He continued resisting and he kind of rolled onto his stomach, and put his arms underneath his body towards his waist, pinching his arms underneath him.
You say resisting, how else was he resisting?
Pulling away, pushing his body, using dead weight, kind of clinching.
After you moved over his stomach, his arms are underneath his body, what happened next?
I gave 3 knee strikes to his common peroneal, which is a word for the side of his leg, from the knee to the hip area of the leg on the outside. I gave 3 knee strikes to that common peroneal area, which causes a reaction for someone to loosen up their arms. At that point, Trooper Al-Kafaji and Trooper Aliyah each had an arm, and after my 3 strikes were successful, they were able to loosen up his arms and get him behind his back and successfully place him into custody and handcuffs.
Okay, and what happened after that?
After that, he was secured and arrested.
And nothing further.
Ross?
Oh, that was here.
Thank you, Judge. Officer, approximately what time of day was it when you arrived at the scene?
I don't recall. Whatever the police report says would be the time.
Based on your recollection, was it morning, was it evening?
Evening.
Okay. So it was dark outside, correct?
I don't recall the lighting. I know it would have been evening, so I wasn't sure if it was dusk or complete pitch black. I don't recall.
Okay. So when you arrived at the scene, do you know roughly how long that was after the apparent crash had taken place?
When I got there,
Yes.
up 2 minutes. I passed the crash on accident because when I went by, it didn't get dispatched yet. And I was going to a different area, and so I was in the left. This was all on the right towards like the exit area.
Okay.
And I went by it, and as soon as I went by it, they dispatched it out, and I had to go down to the next exit, flipped around. Well, we were on a different crash prior to there, and Trooper Aliyah and Al-Kafaji were a 2-man car. They were already behind, and I said, hey, there's a crash blocking right there. I missed it, I gotta flip. So however long it took me to flip around and get back there is
So your estimate is 2 minutes?
approximately, I mean, don't quote me on 2 minutes, but
Okay. All right. And so when you say that you saw a black male walking away from that area, how far away was that person from you when you first saw him?
what do you mean from me?
Wherever you were when you first saw that individual walking away.
I was in my car, like responding lights and siren.
Okay, when you got out of your vehicle,
I already seen him and I already had passed him at that point to block the freeway.
all right, well,
So he was behind my car.
okay, I'll ask a different question then.
Okay.
So, you say you got out of your vehicle and you personally, identified yourself and asked that person to stop? Is that correct?
I gave him commands to come back.
You identified yourself as a police officer?
No, that's kind of spoken for in a fully marked patrol car and uniform.
Well, you didn't mention, I don't believe, that it was a fully marked vehicle.
Yes,
And
he did. He did mention
My
that.
apologies.
Yep, it's okay.
So then, and you weren't a full uniform as well.
Yes,
So, was there quite a bit of traffic going by
No.
at that time? No?
it was the evening, so it wasn't your rush hour constant cars. It was just cars. Cars were going by.
Okay.
But it wasn't to the point where it caused any kind of backup. So
Okay,
you get a car like just every now and then.
all right. So at the point in time when you were out of your police vehicle and you gave the black male a command to stop, how far away would you estimate you were from that?
A distance, I'd say it was close enough where he heard me and looked back and ignored me. So I'd say 15, 20 yards, maybe. I'm just off of my memory, maybe,
Okay.
approximately.
How does that compare to your, the distance between you and the defendant sitting here?
Probably double this length.
Okay, all right.
So maybe by like the exit sign of the door.
All right, so you're saying approximately twice this length here is how far away you were from the defendant when you asked him to stop?
Yes,
Okay.
approximately.
All right,
So for the record, their stipulation, he said the exit door, 25 feet.
Yeah, about that.
okay. All right, and you said that, Mr. Alexander was, just merely walking, he wasn't running when you first saw him?
He was walking away with his hands in his pocket.
Okay,
He was walking away from the scene.
okay. And then when you gave the commands, continue to walk, is that right?
Correct.
At any point, did you inquire as to Mr. Alexander's ability to hear, just in general?
No, I thought he could hear when he did look back at me though.
Okay. So you did not specifically witness the crash itself, is that right?
Correct.
And you did not specifically witness how many individuals were in the vehicle at the time of the crash, correct?
Which vehicle? There was multiple. I believe there was 3 vehicles involved.
Did you witness the number of individuals in any of those vehicles?
I'm gonna check the documents. Do actual, whether the defendant did the same.
I'll just. Officer, at the time of this incident, were you wearing a body cam?
Yes,
And was there a dash cam installed in the this vehicle that you were in?
yes, forward facing.
So, so both the body cam and the scout car dash cam should have recorded what occurred, correct?
Correct.
That's all I have, thank you.
Just briefly, Your Honor. We haven't shown the video, but the forward dash cam doesn't move. I mean, it just looks in one direction.
Stationary, correct.
And where do you keep your body cam?
Right here, right in the front. My
My
right side.
side, thank you.
I may have switched it. I don't remember if it was on my right side then. I these are new to us, so I've experimented.
Okay,
Either the left or the right side, but it is forward facing.
so you could be facing forward, but your head can turn, correct?
Correct.
So your vision pick up something with the body cam or the dash cam.
Correct. The camera is 2D, so
Okay.
it's two-dimensional of what it's capturing.
Thank you. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, I'm gonna make a liar of myself again. I don't have a second.
Okay. Goodbye.
Your Honor, people requested that Kennedy be found over on this count one, police officer assaulting and resisting obstructing. Is there, argument?
Well, just to clarify, the people are not attempting to bind over any. These are all misdemeanors. I would object to the bind over, without argument.
Your Honor, people met their burden under probable cause hearing. The defendant was asked to, or ordered to stop or return. He did not. When he was approached, he physically resisted. Police officer, he laid on his, rolled over on his stomach, laid on his hands, causing, making it necessary, the trooper to use physical force. And that means the burden under the circumstances of probable cause. We ask for bind over.
Okay, I do think this would be a question of fact, trial fact, people have met the burden of proof, will call standard. The one element or the one felony, I should say, requires that the people prove that the probable cause standard, one, that the defendant, in this case, resisted, obstructed, or opposed. Who I will call Trooper John G., who was a MSP trooper performing his duty. Second, that the defendant knew or had reason to know that Trooper John G. was an MSP trooper authorized to perform his duties, in this case here, as he testified in the full uniform, fully marked vehicle. Third, that the trooper gave the defendant a lawful command. In this case, the testimony is that he ordered the defendant to stop walking away and observe the defendant turn around and then continue, or look at the trooper and then turn around and walk away. Fourth, that the defendant's actions were intended by the defendant, that is not accidental. I do believe that the defendant's actions were intentional, even after walking away. Trooper John G. attempted to, he said he jogged to reach or catch up to the defendant. And that there were two other officers who also had to assist him in handcuffing the defendant after what do you call it, continual resisting. We rolled onto his stomach, the defendant had his arms under his body. He was pushing away, using dead weight. And that is when Trooper G, John G, gave 3D strikes to the area of the center outer thigh. And that's when the other troopers cuffed and were able to arrest the defendant. So that I do believe people arrested were improved. So, Mr. Alexander, I will have you bound over. You were out of custody, so 2 weeks from today, May 16th at 9:05 a.m. for your arraignment on the information at Framework we call justice. Anything else for the record?
No, Your Honor.
Nothing further. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Both of you have a good rest of your week.
Thank you, Judge.
Excuse me, prosecutor. Ms. Parrott.
It's an attorney on the phone.
Okay, on the record is the people of the state of Michigan versus Jason Thomas, 2057618. Mr. Thomas is charged with one count of weapons carrying concealed, set for a preliminary examination today. Appearances,
Evan Sawaki, 25488, appearing on behalf of the people.
Good morning, Judge, you and your staff. Cody Bradford with Neighborhood Defender Service of Detroit, P85944, on behalf of Mr. Thomas, who is present in the courtroom.
Mr. Thomas, can you take the full name, please?
Jason Lee Thomas Jr.
Thank you. Good morning to everyone. You ready to move forward today?
No, Your Honor, people cannot move forward. We are missing central witnesses.
Okay.
It has the case to be dismissed.
Not what I expected, but I will dismiss without prejudice as people are not ready to move forward.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'll be looking in a second.
You go. Gave you my natural.
Oh, no, it's okay. It's okay, yeah.
Lieutenant here? No. No. Is that accessible, right? I thought maybe it was accessible, so
I'm sorry.
like you were
No.
short. Calling case 2356338, the Ronald Cooper charged with count 1, weapons, firearms possession by a felon, count 2, weapons, ammunition possession by a felon, count 3, controlled substances possession, cocaine, heroin, or another narcotic less than 25 grams, count 4, controlled substances possession, cocaine, heroin, or another narcotic less than 25 grams, count 5, weapons, smoking firearms, second offense notice, count 6, weapons, smoking firearms, second offense notice, count 7, and count 8, weapons, felony firearms, second offense notice, set for a preliminary examination today. Appearances?
Good morning, Your Honor. Daniela Parrish on behalf of the people, P85495.
Defense counsel present or defendant on this case. The officers have checked in the hallway several times to see if Mr. Cooper is present. The court has contacted the attorney via email and via phone. Exam was set for 10:30 this morning. It's now 11:52. Anything from the people?
Your Honor, the people were ready to proceed. We were actually really hoping that we could complete this case today, but based on the circumstances that you've already indicated, we would ask for a case.
11:52. I will be taking the defendant $2,000 cash bond. I'll do cash.